In this video, I'm going to be showcasing 10 everyday carry items that I use daily as a real estate photographer and videographer. Now doing this for years, every item I'm going to showcase plays some sort of specific role in my everyday routine or have some sort of benefit to what I do. And adding them to your kit could give you the same value. So let's get into it right now. So if you're new here, I'm a real estate photographer, videographer, and I run a real estate media business here in Houston, Texas. Now doing this for years, I've learned that all of these items are really essential for everyday carry, whether they're personally on me or in my backpack or in my car. Regardless, they're always with me when I'm going on a shoot. And here in a second, you're gonna see how each one of these items plays an important role. So let's jump into the first one. In my opinion, coming in at number one is a water bottle. As a real estate photographer, videographer, it is essential you have some sort of reusable water bottle, especially in the summertime and here in Texas. This summer was so brutal. Probably the hottest it's been, and this was with me every single day, every single shoot. Now this one in particular is a hydro flask, and I've had this one for years. Mind you, it is pretty expensive compared to other water bottles you can buy, but I'm showcasing this one. And here's the reason why. If I put ice water in here, the next day, if I haven't emptied this water bottle, there's still ice in it. So there's nothing better than coming back from a really hot shoot, leaving this in your car if you want, and it's still gonna be ice cold. So that is the biggest benefit. I've tried other water bottles and they just don't do the trick, where the water will just be really hot by the end of the day, they'll leak or they sweat. So this one doesn't sweat. It's stainless steel on the inside and it just works. And that's the biggest thing about all these products. They're just small and functional. And so in this case, really recommend a hydro flask, so much that my wife even surprised me with a custom hydro flask water bottle. And this is really cool. It's my business, Pro Real Media, photo video company, and with my name on the back. So I love bringing this on shoots because it's another little touch of branding for clients to see, and they're like, wow, it's really cool. But yeah, number one, stay hydrated. Coming in at number two is some sort of camera multifunctional tool. So this one right here is by Small Rig. I bought this about 2 or 3 years ago, and it works great. It literally has everything you would need. The one that I use the most is probably this flathead tip, where I always use it to tighten down plates on my camera, like a tripod plate, a gimbal plate. Sometimes I have to just screw in something extra, or maybe a tripod leg comes loose. So you have all of these here. It is just so functional. Throw this in your bag, forget about it, and you're gonna really be thankful whenever you need one of these. So yeah, this one in particular is by Small Rig, and I definitely recommend it. Works great. Next up, which I probably should have mentioned after the water, is pack a snack for your shoot. And in this case, these are Go Macro protein bars. Seriously love these for a couple of reasons. First of all, they're really healthy. They don't have additives, 11 grams of protein, organic, vegan, gluten-free. It's not gonna bloat you or make you feel really full. That's what I love about these. It's a perfect on-the-go snack whenever I'm in between shoots, or even if I'm just doing a listing photo shoot and I have my camera on the tripod, no one's home, just gonna bust this out, take my photos, and eat while I'm shooting, no problem. But yeah, having these, I just pack it in my bag, and in between shoots, eat this. And it's a way better decision to eat something like this than some sort of fast food, which is really easy to do, especially if you don't pack anything. So definitely recommend these. I've tried a bunch of other protein bars that I've picked up at gas stations, like in between shoots, but some of them don't really taste the best, or they're really heavy on protein and it makes my stomach hurt. Tastes great, fills me up for the next shoot or whatever, and then I can eat a proper meal. So that's great. It's 290 calories, and I believe actually my good friend Taylor Brown is the one that introduced these to me. So thanks for that. But yeah, have some sort of protein bar along with your hydration. You're good for your shoots. Now the next one is a business credit card. So sometimes you have a really long day, and even though you ate your protein bar, you're gonna still have to eat a formal meal. And if you use a business credit card, you can easily track all your expenses at the end of the month to see how much you're spending, or even at the end of the year whenever you go do your taxes or give it to a CPA, whatever it is. Now I don't particularly use this Apple card for my business expenses. I use this one for all of my everyday spending, and then I use a Chase business credit card for my business expenses. But I wanted to showcase the Apple credit card because I love the functionality of this card. And if I were to change things up in the future, I would love to open one of these again as a business credit card because they're so great. It integrates with your phone. It has its own app. Anytime it gets charged, it brings it up as a notification. The app itself shows you such a good breakdown of everything you're spending, what categories. And I know other banks and credit cards do that, but I haven't seen one as good as the Apple credit card. So I really love that. Also, I'm showcasing it because there's no numbers on it, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you don't use Apple and you're not interested in this, I also, like I said, I use a Chase business credit card. That one has really great rewards. Speaking of rewards, this one gets 2% cash back if you use your phone as a payment. Point being, I recommend using some sort of credit card that gives you either cash back or some sort of points, because a lot of the gear that I buy is usually with credit card points or credit card cash back. So it's free money. You get it for just using it for your everyday expenses. Not financial advice, but that's the way I do it. If you would actually be interested in how I actually do more on the business side of things, it's not perfect, but I think it works pretty well, let me know down below. And it's also really funny because it is like a titanium credit card and it's really thick, and whenever I drop it, it just sounds like a slab of metal, and everyone's always like, what is that? So pretty cool. And before getting on to the next item, if you're getting value out of this video, you should really consider joining my community. It's a $5 per month membership program, and the feedback I'm getting is phenomenal. We already have over 50 plus members in there, and you get access to a private Discord group where you can chat on a daily basis with me and other real estate photographers, videographers that are either just starting out, run their own business. And it's so great to ask questions, get feedback on your work, gear questions, anything you have, versus just me trying to get back to you in the comments, which is really difficult. And then you also get access to digital pack that I put together of the most used assets that I use constantly: Lightroom presets, video LUTs, audio presets, some sky replacements, free of charge just for joining. And lastly, probably my favorite perk is an exclusive behind the scenes video series just for my members. Every month I film a long form, raw, uncut video of me at some sort of job, and I highlight whatever I'm doing specifically at that gig, whether it's some sort of aspect of real estate photography, videography, how something is shot, composition, so on. Almost like every video is a mini course in itself. If you're interested, the link is down below. I'd love to see you there. And now back to the next item. Next up is an Apple AirTag. Now, as you can see, I'm pretty invested in the Apple ecosystem. Kind of when people ask me why I shoot Canon, and it's kind of the same reason why I'm with Apple. I just started with that stuff. It just works and I'm used to all these things. So an Apple AirTag, what it does is it can track where your things are. So a lot of people can put these on their purses, on their keys. So it's really cool because you can use the app to track where your things are. And so most importantly, I keep this in my camera bag. You know, God forbid that my camera bag were to get stolen, which pro tip, never leave your gear, or at least your camera bag, in your car. I always take it with me if I'm gonna go eat somewhere or something like that. Heard way too many horror stories of people's bags getting broken into and stolen. So I use an Apple AirTag. Like I said, worst case, if it were to get stolen, could get tracked for the meantime. Just a little bit of peace of mind, but you could use this for other stuff, like putting it on other valuables you might easily lose. So I really like this. This was actually given to me on my birthday. Never thought about getting one, and I just leave it in my camera bag and forget about it. Next up is a pocket knife. So a pocket knife is a really valuable tool. No, I'm not a hunter or use this to actually cut things really. It's really funny because as a real estate photographer, videographer, it is honestly just a glorified doorstop. And so I honestly use this half the time because it's sitting in my pocket, and you know what it's like whenever you're gonna go shoot a room and that door just won't stay open, especially for video. It's really frustrating. For photos, you could probably put your tripod leg there and it would work, but whenever I'm doing video, I need that door to stay open when I'm walking into a room. So I usually stuff this in the doorway like this and it works fine. Before I had this multifunction tool, I would actually use this to tighten my plate down, which is not the safest, but I would use the side where it wouldn't cut me. And of course for just cutting things open like boxes and new packages, but funny enough, I found that it's really useful for just other things aside from just cutting. So again, for me, a pocket knife is a really useful tool that just either sits in my camera bag or in my pocket. Up next is something that I feel like a lot of photographers, videographers don't use enough, and that is a lens cloth. Nothing fancy about this one. This is just a lens cloth that came with a piece of gear. Usually companies, when you buy some sort of equipment, they send their own lens cloth, which is really awesome. But I feel like when I go shoot with some of my friends or other creatives, their lenses are always dirty. And especially for real estate photography, that can give you a big problem because we're usually shooting at apertures like f8, which means everything is in focus. And if your lens is dirty on either the front end or the back end, you're gonna see those spots. And there's nothing worse than coming home with 50 plus photos and now you have to clone out that little speck of dust out of all of those photos because it's clear as day that you can see it and you got to remove them. So before every shoot, religiously, I always wipe down my lenses front and back, and then I even use a little duster on my sensor every once in a while too. That way everything is crisp and clean and won't affect my image whatsoever. This is an invaluable investment. Get one of these or even a regular microfiber towel, put it in your bag, and just get used to wiping your stuff down before every shoot, trust me. Okay, and next up on the list are headphones. So these are Apple AirPods. Now, mind you, these are not the best. I know that there's better options out there, which I fully agree. But funny enough, like I mentioned with the credit card earlier, I bought these Apple AirPods. I believe it's the 2nd gen. I bought these like 2 years ago with credit card points that I didn't even know I had. I just had them racked up and I was like, hey, I want some wireless headphones, and these work out perfect for that. So like I said, I'll link this down below, but there's way better options out there. And if you're a fan of over-the-ear headphones, these have been incredible. These are the Bose Quiet Comfort 45. I got these for Christmas because, well, I've never had over-the-ear headphones. One of the things I love about these in particular, obviously, is that they're Bluetooth, so you don't have to deal with cables. They fit over your ear, so whenever you have the noise cancellation on, it's awesome because you can't hear a thing. So I don't typically bring these unless I'm traveling, so that's kind of a part of my everyday carry kit for that. Whenever I'm editing and I'm processing audio, whether it's an agent on camera talking or sound design, I put these on and they work phenomenal. These are really great, but for everyday stuff, so if I'm shooting a listing and it's vacant, or I'm doing a project that just doesn't require me talking and I can just listen to some music, some sort of headphones, whether it's these or other ones that you find, really make the time go by faster, and I feel like just concentrate versus listening to an empty house. So nothing. And moving on to the next item, and that is Gaff Tape. If you're a videographer, cinematographer, you are probably more familiar with this than if you're just a photographer, but Gaff Tape, Gaffer's Tape is really valuable because you can use it for so many things, whether you're dealing with something that just broke and you need to tape it on. It's dark gray, so there's no shine to it, so you won't see it. What I do is I actually label all of my gear. So if I'm ever working with other people, I'm gonna basically rip a piece of the tape off, put it on that piece of gear, and write my initials. And there's honestly been times where we're dealing with the same equipment and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I had it labeled, otherwise we wouldn't know what it was. And other things I use it for is, for example, I was on a shoot and my tripod fell and one of the legs was really flimsy and kind of broke. This saved the day by patching it up, and it's just, like I said, really useful because it doesn't leave any residue, which is a really big deal. It's really strong to tape things down, and like I said, I always keep this in my bag and there's always some sort of use for it. So like right now on my set, you can't see it, but I have one of my cables for my mic just taped down. So handy. It's the best type of tape because it's not as sticky and residue leaving like duct tape, but it's not as flimsy as like regular invisible tape. And lastly, shoe covers. So if you're a real estate photographer, videographer, you've probably been asked to take your shoes off at some point. And luckily for me, I typically deal with more luxury higher end homes, so they're really pristine and clean and things like that. But even for me, I just don't really want to take my shoes off and walk in my socks all over someone else's home. So that's where shoe covers come into play, because I don't have to deal with taking my shoes on and off whenever I come inside and outside. This is really awesome because, again, I stash this on the side of my camera bag, and if an agent or seller politely asks me to take my shoes off, I can just say, no worries, I have shoe covers. They're always fine with that. Now, one thing to note is sometimes these can get slippery. It is kind of annoying to do video because it's like, I feel like I'm sliding around a bit, but like I said, I'd rather do this than wear socks. Unless the house is like crystal clear, just got cleaned, and then I don't mind and I'll just wear my socks because then you actually get better, smoother gimbal movements. Up to you, but I feel like just having these in general can't hurt. Last minute thought, I had some honorable mentions that didn't make the list that honestly could have, so I figured I'd mention them real quick. These Zeiss lens wipes are really awesome. I keep these. They're like a lens cloth, but better because they're meant for lens wipes, and I also use them for my glasses. I can't have a speck of dust on my glasses or a sort of smudge or anything. They have to be really crystal clear, so this works great for that. This is a little cleaning sprayer that I use on my sensor and to get dust off. Another important one is having a little small Advil stash. So sometimes you're just on a shoot, you maybe get hurt or you're having to deal with a headache. Sometimes like allergies will get the best of me and I'll get a headache or something. And so having just Advil, especially for traveling, is really good if you run into any issues. And probably the last thing is some sort of storage solution. Now, as a real estate photographer, you probably won't run into this, but someone like me that also does more commercial video shoots, works with other people, multiple cameras, having this little small USB stick, which this one was sent to me by Lexar, really fast, but it's a 64 gigabyte, is really handy if I have to transfer footage real quick, if someone has a camera on deck and we need to transfer stuff, but we didn't swap SD cards. So some sort of storage solution that just lives in here is really nice. Like I said, you probably won't run into that, but figured it was worth mentioning. This one by Lexar is super nice and durable, so it just lives in my bag as well. And my last honorable mention that probably should have made the cut is a watch. So I love using traditional watches. watches. I'm really not a fan of like Apple Watches, smart watches, just because it's another thing to distract me. And why I'm mentioning the watch is because I hate pulling out my phone to check the time in the middle of a shoot, you know, to see how I'm running on time, if I have some time left, if I'm running behind. So having a watch on me to avoid me picking out my phone, reading notifications, getting distracted, possibly opening them, has been really great. So just having a traditional watch that's gonna do no other function than just look cool and tell me the time is really awesome. And my wife always gets me like a new watch for like my birthday or Christmas. This one in particular is by Fossil. I love those watches. They're really affordable, but they look really nice. Honestly, a watch is something that should have been on this list, so this is always on me. Also feel weird if I don't wear a watch. So as you can see, I always wear a watch and my wedding ring in a video. They just live on me. So that's pretty much it. Those are all of my essential everyday carry items that I use as a real estate photographer, videographer. Like I said, I've been doing this for years and slowly but surely started adding these things into my kit when I noticed that there was a need for them or they were missing on a daily basis. So whenever I go out on a shoot, honestly, some of these play a daily role, if not an every other day or a weekly basis. They live personally on me, like in my pockets, in my hands, or in my backpack, or in my car. So if you were to add most of these things in, I feel like they'll be just as valuable to you as they are to me. And also, I'd love to hear some of your everyday carry items that weren't on this list in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down your thoughts, subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you guys to be part of the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.